Hello, my name is Frank Christensen and I'm the coordinator of officials for IFAF Europe. This is the third of 5 training tapes concerning defensive offside. Today we're looking at the subcategory called unabated to the quarterback. So basically we're looking for how far into the offensive backfield does the defender have to come before we shut it down. But before we get to the clips, let's have a look at what the MOFO and the rulebook have to say.
In the rulebook, we go to Rule 218.2, defensive offside on a scrimmage play. Article 2 says, after the ball is ready for play, offside occurs when a defensive player, A, is in or beyond the neutral zone when the ball is legally snapped. B, contacts an opponent beyond the neutral zone before the ball is snapped. C, contacts the ball before it is snapped. D, threatens an offensive lineman, causing an immediate reaction before the ball is snapped. Or E, crosses the neutral zone and charges towards a teammate back. Rule 715 talks about B requirements. Players aligned in a stationary position within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage may not make quick, abrupt, or exaggerated actions that are not part of normal defensive player movement. In the MOFO, we go to 344, dealing with offsides. A, when a defensive player before the snap moves and an offensive player subsequently moves, a conference between the umpire and the wing is mandatory. This is to determine if the defensive player was in the neutral zone and if the offensive player was threatened. When in question, the offensive player is threatened. If the team A player who first moved is not threatened, it is a false start. B says, when a defensive player before the snap crosses the neutral zone and charges towards a team A back, it is a dead ball offside foul. The time to call this as a foul is when the defender passes the hip of the nearest team A lineman. C goes on to say, don't rule a defensive player offside if he is stationary and only intruding on the neutral zone by a trivial amount. D, don't be picky about offside, particularly on fields that are not marked perfectly. And E says, don't call offside if the defensive player is moving forward at the snap but is not actually in the neutral zone. And finally, 13.2, dealing with responsibilities for wings on basic scrimmage plays, says, observing offside and other line of scrimmage infractions by Team B players, especially those between you and the ball. So as a wing, you are primarily responsible for anything that happens between you and the ball, and secondarily responsible for what happens on the other side of the ball. So your most of your focus should be on your side of the ball. And that was the book. Now let's have a look at some game film. In this first example, we're looking at linebacker B49 here. And as you will see, he's going to get into the offensive backfield, and right then we're going to shut this down. Now, you might argue that this could be in a different category. Maybe the defense or the offense reacts before there is contact. Maybe B49 creates contact. But in any case, we want to shut this down once B49 gets in here in any case. We're looking at the closest defensive end, and as you'll see, he gets a very easy job getting into the offensive backfield. Now, you may argue that when the ball is snapped, which is right around now, he is only this is only a normal offside. However, before anybody reacts, this is where he is, and this is the ones that we want to shut down, because the offense right now, it's a defensive end against a quarterback, and the offense will always want the free 5 yards. And you know, if we have any doubts, we're going to shut it down. We want to shut this down. So when the defensive end or any defender gets into the offensive backfield like this, completely uncontested, let's go ahead and shut it down. On this play, there's a lot going on, as you can see. So the near defensive end and defensive tackle, we can let them go since they make it back before the ball is snapped, or since the ball is never snapped. But they're not far enough in that we need to kill it. The far defensive end, if he were to stop and move back, we wouldn't have a problem. But even though this is kind of oh man, I blew the play, and he walks into the offensive backfield. As soon as he gets in there, we want to shut this down anyway, just because once he's in there, everybody can see that he's in there, and we need to shut this down so the ball isn't snapped and he has a free path to the quarterback. Here's a similar situation where the entire defensive line moves, and the first jump, they can get back unless they make contact. But the far defensive tackle, since he gets into the backfield, now he also makes contact, but let's say he doesn't, once he gets in there, he leaves us no choice but to shut this down for unabated to the quarterback. Here we're looking at the outside linebacker closest to the camera, and again, he may make contact, which makes us shut it down anyway. But once he gets into the backfield, contact or no contact, we're going to shut this down. And this is a good example of why, because he's all the way down in here before the ball is snapped, and the only thing that's going to happen if we allow this to go on is that he's going to kill the quarterback. So as soon as he gets into that backfield, we want to shut this down as fast as we can. Again, we're looking at the outside linebacker, so the guy up on the line of scrimmage here, and he's going to get very uncontested into the offensive backfield. Now, again, you could argue that when the ball is snapped, he's right around there maybe, so he's not in the backfield and had A37, the wingback there, been able to get a good block on him and keep him, from the backfield, we probably could have let it go as a live ball defensive offside. But once he gets in there, completely uncontested, we want to shut this down because nothing good will ever come from that. Here's another good example, the outside linebacker away from the camera, of why we need to shut this down, because as you can see, he gets completely free into the offensive backfield, and he's almost in position to receive the snap right next to the quarterback, and there's no way that this is going to end well for the quarterback. So this is why the front five, the wings, umpire, center judge, referee, need to be ready to shut these things down as fast as we can, so that we don't end up in a situation where he actually tackles the quarterback because we're still looking for our whistles. In this last clip, you'll see an example of a situation that I don't think we need to shut down. The nearest defensive end here, so he does get in level to the tackle, but then he stops and he doesn't really get his free release into the backfield. So it's I hope you can see the difference from this one to the previous ones, where the offense still has a chance to get their free play off here, because he moves back again, and now it's just a normal defensive end against offensive tackle situation. But again, when in doubt, if you see this and you want to shut it down, you decide now is the time to shut it down because he's going to get this free release. I'm perfectly fine with that also. But I hope you see here the difference is if you're a little hesitant on the whistle, and now we can let this go and give the offense their free play. That was it For this training tape, I hope you found something that you can use on the field.